Yeah, we're dealing with sandworms, Diggle from the 1800s, and of course a classic Legends romp. This, guys, is of course DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 8, where we take a little bit of a break from our main storyline and head on over to the Wild Wild West. And there are aliens involved here, so there's still a little bit of integration there. We're doing another Western episode here. Would have been nice if we got an appearance from Jonah Hex. Really missed that. But it was still cool, though, because like I said before, we did get an appearance from Diggle, except it wasn't actually Diggle. It was just the actor that plays him, David Ramsey, and he was Bass Reeves in this episode, which was still pretty cool. And before any of you complain that he wasn't in the episode too much, I do want to point out that he actually directed the episode. So I mean, it's kind of hard to direct the episode and star in it, so it's cool with the little bit that we got of him in this episode. So that was pretty cool. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into breaking down this episode, just want to give a quick spoiler warning if you have not seen this episode, because again, we're breaking it down in depth. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. So we start off the episode where the team is welcoming back Sara to the Legends. They're welcoming back their captain, specifically Ava, and she and Sara actually have a talk, and Sara actually ends up kind of freaking out and ends up just revealing the big secret to her, just dropping that bomb on her that, yeah, I'm like an alien clone hybrid now. And, surprisingly, Ava doesn't really freak out too much, which I mean makes sense because Ava's a clone too, so now it's like two clones together, so if anything, it actually makes things even better. And of course she's like, but you're still the Sara Lance that I know and love. And it's like, oh yeah, that's great. It's really great there. But the Legends, they got to go on a first mission with Sara now back as their captain, and they are going to Fist City to look for an alien. But when they first get there, things are kind of weird, not really what you'd expect with the Wild Wild West, where the cowboys are kind, there's a swear jar, everybody's singing, nobody's gambling. It's really weird, and that's where we find out about the sheriff's rules. And I was like, who is this sheriff guy, and why did he make up all of these rules? Well, that would be Levi Stapleton, who is the sheriff here, and he shows up to the saloon where the Legends arrived at, and we find out why everybody follows his rules and why everybody's scared of him, because he has this alien whistle that summons this crazy alien sandworm. It definitely reminds me of Beetlejuice, where it just comes up out of the ground. And when the Legends get back to the Wave Rider, they ask Gary about it, and he's like, yeah, that's a Haverak, and they're controlled by that whistle, and is also attracted to hot tempers and just anger and aggression in general. So before they head out on the next mission, they're like, all right, Astra, Spooner, we're gonna have to bench you because you kind of got a temper, so you got some anger issues you got to deal with. So we can't risk having you as a liability. So they leave them behind, and while they're left on the Wave Rider, the Legends, they go to a square dancing contest because of course that's what they do in the Wild Wild West. And when we're here, obviously, there's some big confrontations, specifically between Sara and Stapleton, where she actually challenges him to a shootout. Which, I mean, Sarah's never lost a shootout before. She's done many, and there's no way she's losing this one. Or is she? Because when they do go out there and start the shootout, of course, Stapleton, he cheats, shoots her before she even turns around, and yeah, shoots her right in the head, and is like, oh my god. But, like I said, she's part alien, part clone now, so that hole in the middle of her forehead just automatically regenerates, and now it's like she's good. But obviously that's pretty traumatic for Ava. She just watched the love of her life get shot in the head, and yeah, sure, she's fine, but that's still a traumatic moment right there. And then, as a result of this, this woman that was flirting with Behrad before, she ends up getting the whistle and summons the Haverak to go ahead and eat Stapleton. So, he's dead, our big villain is gone, but now we've still got to take care of this sandworm, and also now the townspeople who've now turned against the Legends. So they kind of all just retreat to the local saloon, and everybody's so mad. First of all, now everybody knows that Sara is, part alien, clone, hybrid, whatever you want to call it. And basically everybody's mad at somebody else. Constantine's mad at Gary. Behrad's mad at Zari. Obviously Sara and Ava. So things are not going very well here. So then Nate, he's like the one that's not mad at anybody at this time, and he just basically ends this fight. He's like, guys, we need to stop this. We need to focus. Why can't we just have one good mission? And then that's when he kind of comes up with a plan, which is a kind of stupid plan, but he still comes up with a plan where he plans to summon the Haverak. And he does that, of course, by channeling his aggression and basically just lets all of his feelings loose. So kind of some good therapy for him. And I mean, you gotta feel so bad for this guy. This is a guy that technically is not one of the OG legends, but was there since the second season. So he's been here the longest. Well, not the longest, but he's one of the legends that's been on the team the longest. And he's just been treated so badly. He lost the love of his life, Zari, and he's just gone through so much. He even mentioned that he tried to get a seat at the Hall of Justice, but then he didn't hear back, which I think is a great reference. But I mean, no wonder he didn't hear back if he didn't want to be a part of the crossover last year. But now, if I'm being honest, I kind of want to see him as part of the Arrowverse Justice League, because if you think about it, the Justice League that was set up at the end of Crisis, there's not much of them left. Black Lightning, his series is over. Supergirl's ending. Arrow's dead. Batwoman was recast. So, I'd like to see some more of that Justice League at some point, but who knows when that's going to happen. Maybe the next crossover. But, yeah. So, his plan does indeed work, after all, and I mean, probably not the way he really thought it would, and definitely not how I thought it was going to go. I thought he just got kind of like mad, so mad that he was like, I'm just going to sacrifice myself or something. But no, he steeled it up out there as the worm came to eat him. But luckily, Astra, Spooner, and Bass Reeves show up, because again, Bass Reeves revealed himself to the two of them. And that's also where we find out that this alien is actually making the gold. So they all show up and they basically save the day, because Spooner is able to get in the head of this Haverak while Astra actually blows it up. So the buddy system really did work, and they're able to take down this alien, which was a pretty cool moment in the episode. And that's it for Bass Reeves in this episode as well. Sara did mention like Dig, like she noticed that like that's like he looks like Diggle, but there was like no other reference of it, really no conclusion with that character. So who knows if he actually is like an ancestor of Diggle or somebody related to him or something like that. We really got no answer, and I guess it doesn't really connect to any of these other mini crossovers we're getting with Diggle throughout the rest of these Arrowverse shows. We already got it with Batwoman. He's going to be on the next episode of Superman and Lois, and he's going to show up on The Flash at some point, and also Supergirl. So I'm excited for those, but also, again, a little disappointed that he didn't do more here, but also makes sense because he was directing the episode. But as our prologue for this episode, John actually heads off to find the Fountain of Imperium, which he was giving a map by Gary. And Gary was like, everybody who goes looking for this never comes back. So who knows what's going to happen with John. But hopefully he ends up being okay, because he's one of the best characters here. And then probably my favorite moment of the episode is where Behrad gives Nate both his and Zari's totems so that he can take a totem trip and go visit Zari. Because again, she is the love of his life, and he lost her multiple times, and you gotta feel so bad for him. Honestly, at this point, I feel like Nate is actually like such an underrated character. Again, he's pretty much one of the OGs, and like he's just such a cool character. Also, speaking of that, I like how lately they've been like showing off his historical skills, because of course he was a historian before he joined the Legends, but last couple seasons he's kind of just ended up being like a frat boy. But now he's finally getting back into bringing up all these history facts and stuff, which honestly is kind of boring, because I mean, like it's like nerdy history stuff, but at the same time it's cool because it fits with his character. So I love seeing that. And now he finally gets to go be with the love of his life. And I mean, it makes so much sense too. Like, why did nobody ever think about this before? Literally all he's got to do is just take a totem trip and he can finally see Zari again. So I'm definitely happy for him. I'm really happy that he's getting this opportunity. But other than that, guys, the only thing that happened in the episode at the very end is that the cowboy narrator singer got kicked off the Legends. Honestly, would have been hilariously awesome if he actually stuck around with the Legends, because honestly, good singer, good narrator too. So that would have been cool. But no, he gets kicked off the ship. But we do get our promo for next week's episode, where we are going full on sitcom mode once again, like we did last year with Mr. Parker's Cul-de-sac. But this time, I don't remember what it was called, but it's some kind of sitcom about like this puppet character, and it kind of looks like a female Bebo. So that looks really cool. I'm really interested to see about that, and maybe if that is one of the aliens that they're looking for. So really excited for that. But guys, of course, let me know your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below. What do you think about DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 Episode 8, and of course your predictions for the rest of Season 6. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.